In this series, we are looking at some of Australia and New Zealand's best hotels through the lens of design. This is an architect's dream job. Welcome to Hotels by Design. Our design industry leaders have come together via Zoom to judge each hotel on originality, aesthetics, sustainability and service, and will ultimately crown one hotel the best design destination in Australia and New Zealand.
I think there's many reasons why you'd go to a design hotel. It's about the ambience they create, that beautiful service, the way they serve the food. The whole experience is really a design experience.
Our judges have filled 9 of the places for our top 10 countdown. Which project from this episode will round out the field for the best of the best?
The architecture, the furniture, the decor, the service, the food, everything is tops.
From the mirrors on the ceilings, the walls, all the crazy colours going right into the pool as well. All boundaries have been pushed.
When it comes to interior design, it can be like standing in front of a blank canvas. I mean, where do you start? Well, the palette includes colour, texture and light. And when it goes together well, it adds up to a whole lot of wow. And in this case, the W in wow stands for...
W Hotels was born in New York City in 1998 and really born amongst that chaos of New York and really that whatever went of a 24/7 culture, and we're certainly a design-led hotel and experience.
This is level 1, so this is the main floor for living rooms, so afternoon teas, parties, but also the bar scene late at night.
Now, I've heard about the wow suite. When are we getting there?
You're going to see the wow suite, I promise.
Well, Nick, every great hotel has a pool, and this is a beauty.
We just had this crazy idea to do like a river cave. We've even got a snake in the pool. Let's go through Blue Ducks for some lunch. So awesome to come here and be involved in a project when people are serious about the food. The idea behind the restaurant was a Queenslander veranda by the river. It's a nice contrast between the modern and contemporary elements and then some of the softer elements as well. There are 312 rooms here, but this is one of the standard king rooms. We have elements of the Queenslander, we've got the river reeds around the bathroom, we've got light and shade, shadow. We're playing with all sorts of different motifs. Even the carpet is an element of the river.
So, Nick, we're nearly there, you're telling me?
We are here. Welcome to the Extreme Wow Suite.
This is it.
The Wow Suite is our version of the presidential suite, 200 square metres, which is the equivalent of 4 guest rooms.
It's not E-Wow, it's Extreme Wow, and this is the Extreme Wow Master. Look at this behind me.
I know, it's bigger than my apartment. Bath, walk-in robe, massive king room, mirrors on the ceilings which reflect the views outside. The dark timber floors then make all the colours pop as well.
So if you're going for a lot of visual stimuli on the wall, you want to keep the floors and...
A little bit sort of neutral, but as a place that don't like a contrast, for sure. There's one more part of this, and that's the bar outside.
It's got its own bar?
Absolutely.
Of course it does.
This is the most exclusive accommodation in the city. The suite is there for people who appreciate the best of the best.
Rock stars.
In accommodation. Some rock stars.
Really?
International and local.
He's not giving any names away, is he?
No, he won't.
Look, I don't think we got to the bottom of it. What does the letter W stand for?
Here at the W, we provide and pride ourselves on a very high level of personalised experience, and the W can be different things to many different people.
I think he's dodging the question.
He does, but I think it's quite simple. It's whatever, whenever.
Providing it's legal.
Providing it's legal. That's a worry. Well done, boys. Cheers.
Kinloch Manor is interesting in that it's different to some of the other properties we were looking at in New Zealand. This is more about stone and almost like a castle clinging to a cliff.
Andrew, I'm struck by the massiveness of this building, the heaviness of it. It's a very solid building, built to last. It's a very exposed site, so, you know, this element of shelter.
Yeah, it faces down the volcanic plateau, which you start to get a glimpse of through those windows.
So it is a real fortification, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of modern-day castle, but you're defending against the weather. Often storms from miles out come straight towards you.
And, you know, with this kind of robustness of the construction, you actually feel, I don't know, safe.
Yeah, safe and
protected. I'm really fascinated by coming out of the dark and into the light, this amazing space in the middle.
Well, it's a really sunny linking space.
Andrew, I'm intrigued. What's down here?
So this is the place for mind and body. It's the spa. It's got a really lovely, wonderful, comfortable spa down here.
You get pampered.
And it's warm down here and enclosed.
And it smells so good.
The smell comes from the panelling.
Yeah, and the oils and waxes I can smell.
And it's a very private space with these little glimpses of the lake.
Yeah, so this is kind of a mini-me from up the top.
Yeah, it's a little protected space that nobody knows is here, really.
Andrew, did you design these as well?
Yes, 28 of these villas scattered around the castle.
Yes. An absolute contrast materially.
Yeah, well, these are designed to be seen in the garden.
In the landscape.
In the landscape, yeah. This is known as a two-key unit. It has 2 suites on either end, so you can combine to create a big house for a family, or you can have it with 2 separate couples. And again, it's out of the weather on the lee side of the house, or watching the lake and the storms on the other side.
John, I've had this fantastic tour of the lodge with Andrew. What was your vision here?
Well, I can tell you the good part about the vision. It got interpreted so brilliantly by Andrew.
I can see.
But number one, spectacular outlook here, wonderful drop-off. Kinloch is named after Scots, and they love building castles. So Andrew perfected a contemporary castle.
Our modern New Zealand castle.
Modern New Zealand castle. In here, there's lots of different spaces, and I think the genius was Virginia Fisher, who did the decor, and Andrew. They worked together from day one.
So I have to say, you know, as an aspiration, from your point of view, fabulous. The big vision of kind of where you wanted to end up, and the execution by Andrew, stunning. Kind of appropriate, sitting here with a Scotch whisky in a reinterpreted Scottish castle. Kinloch, in the central plateau of the North Island of New Zealand, an extraordinary landscape and an extraordinary building.
Premier Mill Hotel in Katanning is a wonderful restoration, really respectful of the original building, but bringing in some modern context.
This is where architecture and clever design have come together to convert an old flour mill into a hotel.
I'm in the small country town of Katanning, a 3.5-hour drive southeast of Perth, to talk to the owner and the architect of the multi-award-winning Premier Mill Hotel. I gotta let you in on a secret. This project has been on my bucket list. I am super excited. Let's go take a look. What an amazing building.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they come in here for the first time, you know, they're sort of a bit taken aback. You know, it's quite a surprising space when you come in from the outside. To think that this was once a bustling train and rail car gantry where they unloaded grain, and now it's not grain arriving and leaving, it's our guests.
You love history, I know that, and this building must have so many stories.
Fundamentally, it's the story of a man called Frederick Peace, who decided back in 1891 that this was a very strategic position between Perth and Albany. So he constructed this magnificent flour mill at a time when this town only had 11 residents. This building is the epitome of the Industrial Revolution.
Every level was fully occupied by purifiers and dust extractors and all that sort of gear. It was a little daunting to try and imagine a hotel in a building which was, you know, just something completely different.
Wow. This is like a machinery museum. Are all these pieces in place? Is this, what are they?
No, well, this is a dust extractor. It's at the end of the purifying rooms. Part of the floor has been removed there, so you can sort of see the full extent of this piece of machinery.
You can still see the floor structure.
Yeah, but on the other side here is the original pattern drawing at exactly the same scale as the built thing. And you can sort of see how the duct comes down and it matches up with the duct exactly on the side of the drawing. So you get this total experience of drawing and real artefact.
That's fantastic. I mean, if you're a person who's right into machinery, this place is like heaven. The feast of machinery continues into the bedrooms.
Yeah, well, you can see all of these pulleys. They transferred energy from right down in the basement all the way through the mill.
You've taken elements that are in situ and then hung lights off them. And
I suppose that's where the design sort of, so it's respecting what's there and working with it, but then there is obviously bringing in the new elements which are going to make it comfortable for the guests, and I suppose that is contemporary design. We worked with furniture designer Paul Morris, and he designed specific pieces like the chairs and whatever for the hotel.
How many rooms are there?
22 rooms in the hotel, of which there are sort of 4 main types. So this is one of the silo rooms, and those walls are by far the most astonishing feature about them. And it's made out of 4x2 jarrahs, just stacked on top of one another.
This room has this beautiful aroma. It actually smells like you're in the woods. It's this beautiful feeling. And you've got this stunning timber. I mean, it shows the beauty and longevity of Jarrah.
So here we are in the basement bar. So this basement was the receival point for the grain coming off the railway trucks, just outside, into these hoppers, and then it was fed into these augers, which these tubes took it up all the way to the very top of the building.
So how did you interpret the history into a bar within this space?
The secret of was really to do as little as possible. We deliberately kept all of these posts here so that it made a compression. It sort of felt like there's more people in this bar than there really is. So even if you come in and there's no one here, there's
it feels
friends.
like,
there's friends to talk
the post. Premier Mill Hotel has quite literally taken my breath away. The architects have managed to ingeniously interweave the building's history into a design hotel that is both warm and welcoming. It's the perfect base for exploring the Great Southern.
What a beautiful old building. The interior approach to this kind of very dark and moody space really does take you back in time and transform you back to Tasmania in a very different world.
I've been involved in a few hotel projects down here in Tassie, including this one, the Henry Jones Art Hotel. The waterfront location right here in the heart of Hobart is absolutely stunning, but so is the design. Sure, I may be a little bit biased, but I reckon it's a masterpiece. Remember when we were constructing this 20 years ago?
It was a massive adventure, wasn't it?
An amazing history towards this place. Hobart used to smell of jam.
That's the story by which Tasmania became the Apple Isle, because they were all exported from here. And that's where IXL comes from, because Henry Jones, the founder, actually said, I excel. This place breathes ancient history for Tasmania. We tried to change as minimally as we could to keep that authenticity going.
Seven buildings actually make up the Henry Jones Art Hotel, all from different periods of time. And one of your greatest challenges was actually trying to create synergy, trying to link it together as one hotel.
And hence the reason for the atrium, which actually brings all those different buildings together.
It also is highly energy efficient.
The conservatory is wonderful insofar as it traps warm air. And those chutes take the warm air and funnel it into the old building. And the old building is slow to warm up and slow to cool down, so it stays at an even temperature all year round. This is the oldest of the building, 1825. It was also the heart of the jam making. This is where the big vats and things were. The tracks you see are where they used to run the jam tins along. And look, there's actually some that's fallen off and stayed in that chicken wire cage. They've been there since the 1960s. The challenge for us, and it was a huge challenge, was to keep those stories alive. All rooms have different authentic features, and people actually think that there's still jam stuck in the walls.
It is.
It is.
And we get the complaints, Robert.
One of the special things for me is the bathrooms. I call them TARDISes simply because there's so many mirrors and things inside. They appear twice as big.
We have between 400 and 500 pieces of Tasmanian artworks on show at any one time. Pretty much like staying in a giant gallery. Hey, if you love a piece, they're all for sale.
So here we are, Robert, surrounded by art, you know, celebrating John Glover, the forefather of landscape art in Tassie. It's also looking at the new generation through the Glover Prize and having those art pieces as well.
It's a metaphor for the hotel because you have an idea here of what the past was and what the contemporary and future is going to be. And they merge together, and the story of both is enriched by having the other. This is the hotel where you can actually experience that journey that Tasmania's gone on from a convict's working environment, as in the warehouses, through to a guest experience that is second to none because it is the real history being brought to life.
The real design story here is the fusion of art and history to create this stunning and contemporary hotel, and you can't beat that.
If you'd like to know more or book any of the hotels, resorts and lodges featured in the series, go to hotelsbydesign.com or scan the QR code on the screen.
The wharfs are such an important part of the history of New South Wales and Australia. Repurposing these spaces into hotels is such a fantastic use.
What Hassel have done with this cavernous space, creating all different nooks in there, whether you wanted something quiet and romantic, whether you need somewhere to work, I think it's been a very clever execution.
So Kirstie, Finger Wharf in Woolloomooloo has a great history.
There's an amazing history, this building. It was built in 1915 and it's a really important part of Australian history because this is where the troops deployed for both the World Wars, and any of the men that came back from Gallipoli would have come back through here. So it's very poignant.
At one point, Kirstie, I understand the building was under threat, potentially being sold to developers.
Yes, it was. They were going to sell it off for luxury apartments and they were going to be private apartments. So we all came down here to the protest because I had a big belief then, I still do, that the foreshore is for the public. Imagine if it wasn't here. You just drive past it. You wouldn't be able to actually come in and see these unique views and being in amongst all this history. It's really fascinating.
Richard, welcome to Overlow Woolloomooloo. Overlow's so proud of what we've done here from a design aspect, and bringing that through to the guest experience is very, very important for us.
It was a really challenging task for us. The first step was to transform this uninviting wind tunnel that sits along the spine of the hotel. So we broke into smaller areas. There are different pockets of space. It has different functions. So no matter who you are and what you do, you come into Alibi and then you'll find your place.
So Paul, you build brands and environments.
That's right. We bring the environments for hotels like this hand in glove with the architects, and we create these lovely little placemaking gestures within the space, like Sip Happens for the bar. It's going straight to the pool room for the pool area.
I like big books and I cannot lie.
That's a great one for the library, yes.
It seems like fun, but why do you do it?
Well, we do it to create these lovely little sort of Instagrammable moments for guests, which are essentially a backdrop for intrigue and delight. And look, you can't be number one on TripAdvisor with just with a normal environment.
Unlike Alibi, where you've created this beautiful urban retreat, as an interior designer, how do you deal with this beautiful heritage building?
We didn't really want to cover up these beautiful details like this, and just to let it speak to you and becomes a part of the character of the brand.
So I see you've left this beautiful exposed beam here as well.
Yes, we did. The room palette is pared back to reveal and really celebrate this heritage details.
And why would you cover such a beautiful piece of steel?
Really beautiful, isn't it? So the room palette is deliberately dark and moody to give a contrast between vibrant public space in the room, just to build up the, create the drama and the interest.
Such a cool bedhead.
It is. There are multiple different bedheads with the different arts. Every time the guest comes back, they get to experience something new and different.
Tell me about the Rockstar room.
Rockstar room has a hero minibar at the centre of the lounge. It really celebrates the idea of the rockstar. You have this massive lounge next to the fireplace. It refers to the main pillars of OAKLEY brand.
The investment in design made by OAKLEY was really respectful to this heritage beauty. The work conceived by Hassel and Paul have really, I think, hit the mark.
It's time for the judges to reveal which project is making it to the final. After much deliberation, these industry leaders chose the Premier Mill.
I'm very happy to see the Premier Mill Hotel make it through to the finals. It's such a beautiful restoration.
It's good to see the regional hotels really having a go at the big city boys.
Which hotel from the series do you think should win? Vote for your favourite hotel in the Queensland Australia People's Choice Award. Just by casting your vote, you could win the ultimate Queensland holiday with flights included. Just go to hotelsbydesign.com or scan the QR code on the screen and cast your vote. Good luck.
Congratulations to the Premier Mill Hotel. Next episode, the final showdown as we rank our finalists and choose the best of designer hotels across Australia and New Zealand on Hotels by Design.
If you'd like to know more or book any of the hotels, resorts or lodges featured in the series, go to hotelsbydesign.com.